A very good morning to both panels, Dr. Hyrule and Dr. Noor Haslinda. I am Jackson Lee Jansun from the BKG course program, section 1. Today I would like to present my final year project presentations, titled as Restaurant Waiter Assistant Live Foldable Robot. Without further delay, let me show you the contents of my projects. In the contents of my projects, for the first one is the motivations, introduction, problem statement, objective, scope, literature review, methodology, expected result, preliminary result, and the last one is the conclusion of the project. In the motivation of my project, robotic technology has become widely used in many types of applications. For example, in the cafe, restaurants, and industry, and also other applications. Due to the fast-growing rate of development of robotic technology, there are many kinds of the robotic technologies have been used, and it also increased available to the public. As we know that, as a waiter in the restaurant, to serve a customer is a regular task every day in the restaurants. So when come into the holiday season or concentration peak hour, the waiter will become more and more panicked and busy with taking orders from the customers and sending meal or food to serve customer and provide others waiter service. While in this project, the restaurant waiter assistant line for a robot will be addressed to help and as to reduce the workload of the waiter, at the same time also improving the level of satisfaction of the customer. Before I go in detail of my presentations, I will give an introduction of my projects. Restaurant Waiter Assistant Line Follower Robot is an electromechanical machine that can be programmable easily by human by using the need of computer. In addition, the development of this robot is using the combination of electronic parts and also the mechanical parts. It normally used in the restaurant where it can help or assist the waiter in the restaurant to serve the customer in another way during the peak hour, holiday season, festive season, and so on. This robot is very economical friendly and low cost, which is affordable for the restaurant. This robot is using the line as a main path or predefined path, where the path can be in a black electrical tape that used on the white background surface. During the delivering the food or meal, the robot is using the line following method to send the food. At the same time, the color sensor that equipped at the bottom of the robot is to locate the targeted table and serve the customer. In general, the purpose for this robot is to send the food or meal and beverages to the located table for the customer and go back to the on positions, for example kitchens, to stand by for another task. In the problem statement of my project, I have listed 3 of the problems, which are the unavailability of waiter during the congestion peak hour, which are lunchtime and dinner time. So the second one is the time waiting of the customer is limited due to the congestion peak hour or seasons. While the cost of the restaurant robot is in using line approach is very high cost due to the use of the intelligent technology. In my project, I have set 3 objectives in my project. For the first one is to design a restaurant waiter assistant line follow robot that used for restaurant waiter based on Arduino. For the second one is to develop an automated robot that can assist restaurant based on line follow method using infrared sensor. For the last one is to analyze the performance of the robot during the applications. In the scope of my project, this robot is programmed by using the Arduino IDE software, C++ programming language, and Arduino microprocessor language. While in the project, the microcontroller that used is Arduino Mega Controller. So in this project, the motor driver and the DC motor will be used in driving the movement of the robot. While for the keypad is used to do the selections for the number of table, while the LCD I2C is used for display the statement. The button is used for the call or set the robot back to on positions. While for the sensor, color sensor is used to track or to locate the position of table. So for the IR sensor and ultrasound sensor is used to line follow, tracking, and the obstacle, avoid, or preventions respectively. So for the puzzle, will inform the customer when the food is arrived. In the literature review, I have do some research and study papers. Okay, for the first review is on the project on the development of restaurant serving robot using line following approach. So in the projects, the PIC microcontroller is used as main microcontroller in their projects. So in their project, they also use the line reading algorithm combined with the line sensor, while they also using the PID for the motor and the encoder. They also using the ultra sensor to detect obstacles and to stop the robot and provide warning signal. So for the last one, they also built some sound features for the robot, which provide the sound or voice in the English, Korean, and Vietnamese language. So at the right hand side of the slide is the block diagram that proposed by them. So for the next review is on the wireless waiter robots. So in these robots, the Arduino is used as the main controller, while the LCD is used to display the e-menu for customer. The keypad 4x4 is provide user interface with robots. So for the last one is the Bluetooth. The use of Bluetooth is to send the order of the customer to the destination by using the wireless communications. So for the third review is on the smart food serving robot in a restaurant. So in their projects, the line sensor is used to track the path in the restaurant, while the eye sensor, which called as infrared sensor, used for the obstacle detector, while the buzzer is used to provide sound features during present of the obstacle on the path. While in this project, they also use the wireless technology, RF technology, where the RF is called as radio frequency technology, to identify the presence of the human. So lastly, the LDR, called as light dependent resistor, is used for the position detector of the robots. So for the last review is the waiter robot solution to restaurant automations. So in this project, okay, the microcontroller that used is Arduino in their research and studies. So in this project, there are 4 IR sensors are used. 2 IR sensor is used for line following. Another 2 more sensor, which are IR sensor, is used for table counting. So the use of LCD is used to display the menu, while the keypad 4x3 is function as selection orders from the customer. So for the last one is a Bluetooth, where it provides a wireless communication to send the order to kitchen and receptions. In the methodology of my project, I will show panels about the flow of my project and the Gantt chart of the project. So at the flow of the project, for the first one, I will do the research study on the line follower robot of restaurant applications. So for the second one, I will go to study the programming language code of Arduino IDE to learn to code each part of the robot. After I study, I will design the code and write the program. So in the design the circuit schematic for each part of the robot, the software that I use is the freezing software to draft the sample circuits before the hardware is developed. So after that is build the hardware. So during these steps, I build the hardware that I use in the project is Arduino Mega, motor driver, DC motor, color sensor, infrared sensor, ultrasonic sensor, keypad, LCD I2C, buzzer, and other electronic components. So after that, I will design the circuit schematic again. So for this step, I will use the Proteus software to do the simulations, a simple simulation to do the test on each part of the robot. So after the simulation is test and meet the expectations, okay, I will develop a complete line follower robot. So after develop, the robot will go several testing. After testing, so we will analysis and troubleshoot what the problem inside the robot. So if the analysis and if the test is meet the expectation, so the last step is the report writing. So for my Gantt chart in this semester 1, so I have done the design circuit, developing of the hardware, where also include the studies of the literature and Arduino. Now I have drawn the sample prototype of the restaurant waiter assistant line follower robot. So here as shown in this photo or first. So the robot is built. The overall view is using the overall robot structure is using a normal trolley. So in the first layer of the tray, so the LCD, buzzer, keypad 4x4 button are equipped at the top of the trolley. So for the ultrasonic sensor are equipped at the middle of the trolley. So for the IR sensor and the color sensor are put at the bottom of the trolley. And for this box, okay, which consists the Arduino Mega controller and the motor driver. So for these two circle, you are okay, and these two circles, okay, left hand side and right hand side. So it's the trolley wheel that assembly with the DC motor. So based on this sketching, so let us assume a condition or situation when this robot is completely developed. So we assume a condition, put this robot at the restaurant. So we assume one of the conditions. So first, when the chef is put the food on this robot, so the chef will key in the number of table using the keypad 4x4. After key in, the LCD I2C will display the number of the table to serve. So after key in the number and press some input enter, so the overall robot will on automatically, and the robot will using the IR sensor to track the line and using the line to follow the path to the locations. So during delivering the food, when the color, for example, red sample is detected by the color sensor at the bottom of the robot, when the color sensor is sense the red color sample, so the robot will stop automatically to serve the customer at the table 1, for example. So after the and when the robot is reached to the customer, the buzzer here will provide the sound features to inform that customer the food is arrived. Just provide some features like B sound. So after the customer have took the food here out from the robot, so the customer will press the button as shown in the figure. So to set or call the robot, return back to on position, where the position as we assume is integers. So after the button is pressed, so the robot will automatically return to on position to wait for another task. So in general, for this robot, the purpose of this robot is to sending the food to the customer and back to on position to wait for them another task or services. In the preliminary result in my project, so there are several tests carried out in my project. So for the first one is using the Arduino interface with infrared sensor and LEDs. So the figures are shown in the table below, where the simulation process are carried out, hardware design, and the hardware development. So in the hardware development, the tests are testing to test the effect of the L sensor during when the black line is detected and the white line is detected or white surface detected. So for the next step, for the next test is the using Arduino interface with ultrasonic sensor and LEDs. So the figures as shown in the table below. So in the hardware development, okay, the the test is carried out to detect the obstacle. To test a simple, so when the distance is below than a certain distance, okay, so for example, when the object of the distance is below than 6 cm, so the LED will light up. So third test is using Arduino interface with a motor driver and DC motor. So the figures as shown below. So in this test is carried out to test the effect or analyze the effect of the motor which in driving the forward direction, backward directions, turn left or turn right in order to provide a better movement for the robot. So for the next test, so in this test is using the Arduino interface with the color sensor and the LEDs. So in this test, the simulation is not carried out due to the lack of the library in the Proteus. So I just use the hardware directly test. So during the test, I use some of the color sample and the sample of LED. So when the red sample is detected, the LED red will be light up. So for the last test of the component is on the Arduino interface with the LCD I2C. So for this test is testing to display the statement for the chef, okay, to have a reference where this LCD I2C is very easy to communicate with the Arduino and less wiring are needed. In the conclusion of my project, this robot will help waiter to serve the customer during the consumption peak hour, while the robot also will reduce the time waiting for the customer during the peak hour. Lastly, the robot also will improve the efficiency of the restaurant. While for the future work, this robot can include some of the more precise sensor or more accurate sensor, while it also can include the fuzzy logic concept into it. So that's all for me. Thank you. So lastly, I would like to thanks to both panels, Dr. Haril and Dr. Noor Haswenda,